Have you ever wondered how one of the most popular sports in the whole entire world came to be? So many people know and play the sport of basketball, but don't really know how it evolved throughout the years and the actual history that goes behind it. The sport itself was created by a man that goes by the name of James Naismith. Due to the cold winters that followed Massachusetts, he wanted to develop a sport that could be played indoors. But before I get into the history of basketball, it's important to know the background of the man who created it. This is a picture of James Naismith, who was born in Almonte, Ontario in 1861. Both of his parents died at a young age, which forced him to become an orphan early in his years in life. This hardship in his life is what motivated him to become someone in the world. And his one of his biggest goals was to be able to have an impact, a positive impact in the world. By the age of 30, he was a Springfield College instructor in the year 1891 and has grown the game of basketball to be worldwide and debatably the most popular sport in today's society. This picture on the left is the very first basketball team that ever play outside against each other. And the picture on the right is how the game was set up. At the beginning of the evolution of basketball, James Naismith only wrote 13 rules. These consisted of a ref to help judge the game, the method of constant movement of the ball up and down the court, two 15-minute halves, and 5-minute quarters. The very first game of basketball was only played with 9 players, which, fun fact, the game of basketball now is played with 10 players on the court. Um, all 9 players on each both with 9 players on each side, with both teams attempted to throw a soccer ball into 2 peach baskets that were nailed to balconies that were on the ends of gym, or like on the picture of the right, nailed to a long metal pole. But there were many difficulties at first, such as when a player would throw the ball inside of the peach basket, it would get stuck inside, and because of this, the game would have to be on pause while someone had to grab a ladder, climb up, and retrieve the ball that was stuck in the basket. Due to there being no bottom, because the basket was closed shut. But that didn't happen too much because during the first game, the score was only 1-0. After James Naismith saw all these difficulties that came with the game, he decided to spread the game inside of the YMCA's, which stands for the Young Men's Christian Association. The picture on the left is the picture of the very first leather basketball ever created. And the picture on the right is a picture of the very first metal hoop that was used in the YMCA gymnasiums. There were many improvements though, such as instead of using the soccer ball and peach basket, the metal hoop was introduced in 1893 and followed by that with the very first leather basketball, which made the game of basketball very easy. Um, Players were able to dribble better, shoot better, pass better, just everything. This all happened because James Naismith asked the company A.G. Spalding and Brothers for help. This is a picture of the very first YMCA basketball team to ever play in a gym. The first official game in the gymnasium was played in the YMCA in Albany, New York on January 20th, 1892. After a short period of time, basketball spread internationally and was introduced to many foreign nations. And by the year 1905, basketball was officially a winter sport played by many high schools and colleges. But a lot has changed since the very first ever game of basketball, such as equipment, the rules, and talent. That's what makes basketball such an international fun sport because of how much it evolves over the years. Now that basketball was officially a sport, many changes were made, such as better uniforms for the players, actual basketball shoes for the players to play, such as Converse, Chucks, etc. And players were actually able to be paid money to play basketball. And many improvements were made to basketball flooring to help with players running up and down the court. In this informative essay, I have informed you about the history of basketball and how it has evolved over time. I chose the culture of basketball because this is the sport I love and have grown fond of over the years. One thing I can agree on is that if people knew more about the game of basketball, they would have a better interest in it. After watching this speech, I hope I encouraged you all to take an interest in playing the game of basketball or doing your own research. I appreciate you for going back in time and letting me educate you on the culture. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you.